We have Ollie's car here, the ITB car that we tuned a few moons ago. He is having some issues with his rear brakes. He's got a leaky rad, stuff that we didn't touch when we did the conversion. We've got a new Miata rad, new rear brakes, pads, new front calipers, or new rear calipers as well. So we're gonna just show you a little bit around the car, show you the parts that we got, get them unboxed, and get them fitted to the car. Got the bonnet open on this bad boy. Here's the ITB car that we built before Christmas. It was November time. Made 185 horsepower. Simple setup, ITBs, stock engine, just 60 thou skim, I believe. Built him a nice manifold, built him a full exhaust. You'll see this on our Instagram, but now you're gonna see it here on YouTube. So yeah, I'll take you underneath now, show you some of the other stuff that we've got, and then we'll get doing the maintenance, because I think he's got well, this is only a cheapy rad, but he has told me that this top edge is leaking somewhere. So whether it's cracked or just a bit worn, this is only a cheap radiator that he installed at some point last year, but we've got him a Miata to replace that. So that will tidy that up and make that less leaky. But yeah, this is the daily drivable ITB setup. It's got idle control valve and all the bits that you'd really lose with a throttle body setup. So it makes it daily drivable and friendly, and yeah, just a nice, well set up car. Yeah, let me show you the stuff that we've got going on. As you can see, it's very bindy this side. Fitting kit. So in here is all of the bolts, seals, sliders you can need for rebuilding or refitting SVT. Sport brakes. I'm going to organise all of this per caliper. Get all of these open. And here we have some of the calipers. So one of the rears. So there we have it. We have both fronts, both rears, all of the fitting kits for the fronts. The rear fitting kits are already installed on the calipers themselves. With these kits, we have EBC green stuff, well, rear pads, sorry, and he really liked them, so we're gonna just go with them again. So MX5s, they have a key in the back of the caliper that is used to adjust the handbrake. So this needs to come off. This covers a little doofer for those interested. And in there, if you can see, there's a 4mm Allen key. It's a very, very, very small sort of splined key. It's important if you're ever servicing the rear brakes on an MX5. They'll often get jammed in place or seize up a little bit. My advice is don't be an ape when you're going to service or readjust the handbrake, because it's really easily damaged. Key itself, so it's lefty-loosey to wind back the caliper. This will go back all the way to its home position, maxed out, and then clockwise to adjust it outwards. So you'll see us later on. I'm setting it all the way home, give us maximum room on the piston to be able to fit the new pads. Just gives you a little bit more clearance, a bit easier to fit. So that's all the way home. So if you have a look, this is the key. Very fragile, and you can easily damage it if you're not careful. So anyone looking to do your rear brakes or any brakes on an MX5, it's worth noting that. Here we are. So we have all the pads, all the fitting kits, rear calipers are set home. And those will go back on once that will go back on the cap there once we have set the handbrake up. All the grease, important, grease all the sliders, grease all the seals. These don't need to be pushed back any further because they're all the way home already. Yeah, so I guess we might as well get it all apart. So the next port of call is get all the carriers off of the car. Once we've got the carriers off the car, we can give them a clean up, wire brush. I think Ollie wants us to paint them, so we will get them painted up and set aside. They can dry, and once that's done, we can, well, get them on the car. Once they're on the car and the carriers are dry, we can assemble them. Let's get the rear carriers off, get the front carriers off, give them a bit of a paint up, and we'll get the radiators changed over as well. Right, so let's get the wheels off, because this side isn't too bad, but the driver's side is really bad, really badly binding. And if anyone says anything about my chrome sockets on this, I'm gonna kick off. I'm going to take off the under tray to be able to do the radiator. radiator springs, which is a case of take that one off, throw it on the floor, take this one off, and don't throw that one on the floor, take this one off, don't throw it on the floor, type gig. There's a couple of back here. Oh, love that. It's now time to get the radiator out, radiator springs. So we need to get the radiator fan off and the coolant hoses, make loads of mess. Rad fan off. To be transferred onto the new one. This shouldn't have too much gabagoo in it. The gabagoo up here. We did make a custom bypass routing for the coolant on this one. So this is just a front section. From here is hard pipe to the back. So for people who want ITB stuff and it be neat, that's the way forward, we think anyway. A bit of a bespoke sort of setup is better. Pop that one on. So we have this wonderful thing from Snap-on. Definitely overpriced, but very useful. Bosch that in there. Really Bosch this in there, like that. You pump them up. So that's now all pressurized. As you can see, it's holding pressure really well. I'll leave it a couple of minutes, like that. You don't really need to go much more than 10, 15 PSI. As you can see, the rad caps themselves have a spring pressure, so that there requires 19 PSI to open up, and it will open up to allow overflow to the overflow catch can. As you can see, 10 PSI is holding quite nicely. We got to about 13 PSI there, 12 and a half. That's holding there perfectly. I'm gonna let that sit. In the meantime, I'll get some other bits done on the brakes. Rightio gang. Will has obviously cleaned up these beautiful Caliper carriers. So they're in a lovely little silver high temp paint. So we're not gonna need the rear ones for the moment because they can just be fitted to the car. There's no seals directly on them. It's on the caliper that the seals sit. But the fronts, we need to put the pins in the front with the rubbers because the sliders sit on the carrier, the caliper then sits over the top, and then the bolts go through the caliper into the carrier pins. So let's get those greased up and fitted. Will's gonna go ahead and get these fitted on the rear of the car. So Will's gonna take those and put them on the car. Mark 2.5 Sport calipers as well. They have two different pins. So as you can see, that has a space for a rubber seal. Hither. This slider pin with this seal goes on the bottom of the caliper. So if you're looking at the wheel, so the wheel's in front of you, caliper's on the right hand side, the slider pin with the rubber is on the bottom right hand corner, okay? So let's get those greased up, get them fitted. These are the little seal boots. They can always do with a little bit of a grease, boots and cats and that. And then we assemble them onto the caliper carrier. They're always pretty tricky. So that's one, especially when they're greased up, they're a pain in the ass. A pain in the bottom. If this was going to be fitted to the car, like this one, I'm gonna choose that to be the rubbered pin. So if you're looking at that, it's opposite for me, but if you're looking this way, right hand lower corner. So that can go in there. Make sure the seal goes over the pin. So that's that one done. And then we're gonna just do the complete opposite for the other side. So this is the driver's side, this is passenger side. If I assemble them like that, and we're looking to the front of the car, that's how they go. Yeah. So I'm gonna install the carrier, like so. If you wanna act really fucking professional, you can use these little brushes to put grease on. Very small amount of grease, don't need an awful lot. To stop any chance of it either seizing in or getting stuck or squeaking. And then we can install the carrier shims for the parts. So that one goes on there, just like so. Slide them in there, nice, nice. And again, we get the geese out with a little brush and we'll grease the actual slider shims because that is also a requirement. So we'll just put a bit of geese on this bad boy on each side. And we grease up the pad itself on the back and where it sits in the shims, just for extra sauce. And then it should, in theory, just clip in like so. And we replicate that for the front. So we can do a little bit of this, tap it on just around the edge of where the slider, where the pad sits on the doofer. Because if your doofer doesn't slide, you're gonna have problems. And then this pad will slide in very much like the other side. Lovely. Now we get the caliper and we'll just grease up the piston on where it contacts the pad, just so that it's got a nice even spread around it. And again, on this face where it meets the pad. And then we can go ahead and sling this over the carrier and the pad. That can just rest there for a second. Then you want to get the new hardware to screw into the new slider pins. Because if you've got the Wackernusen, you primarily want to see the Wackernusen. Again, a little bit geese on paid. With this setup, it has 2 forks over the front and then a circle around the back.
You're allowed free will.
Make sure you grease up your hole.
He's going to be walking around this side with a CV in his hand, like that's going to make any difference.
What? Right, so we have now fitted all of the calipers, 1, 2, 3 and 4. New pads, carriers have been refurbed. We have obviously set them all up. Now we need to bleed them out. So we're gonna bleed the brakes. And then I'm gonna show you how to set the handbrake because lots of people were interested in that. I did post a short form video about the rear handbrakes on Mark 1, Mark 2 and Mark 2.5 MX5s. They're all the same. They all carry the same caliper key. Yeah, so if you want to check that out, go check it out. Anyway, we're gonna bleed the brakes now. And then I'm gonna show you how to set up the handbrake. Get this bad boy off this caliper. Make a right fucking miss. Yeah, love that. Right, so obviously we're going to be bleeding the brakes. I have a wonderful little vacuum pump on attached here. I'm just going to get me a spanner, do said job. Putting the bleed bottle on, turn it on, let it fill up, and that just stays there. So then we can bleed the brakes. You want to start with the furthest out caliper and just pump it up and hold it, pump it up. Hold it. Hold it. Pump it up. Hold it. So now I'm going to show you how to set up the handbrake on the MX5. So Will's going to take the camera. I'm going to go underneath this car. We're going to set it up properly. So as you can see, we've got the rear caliper adjustment key cap off. You then simply just want to make sure it's free. You want to then wind it all the way in to the disc. So this is going to push the pad up against the disc. Once tight, you just want to back it off and repeat that a couple of times, just to make sure everything is sat down perfectly. You don't want to go too tight. You don't need to use the long end of the Allen key, just the short end. You do not need that much leverage. You then want to just back it off half a turn, and that's it. So then you can replace the cap on the back of the caliper, like so, and torque that down. These do have copper washers on them. If yours seems to be a bit bad, it's worth replacing. So now both of the rear calipers have been balanced. We need to go back in the car and we need to adjust the adjuster that I took off earlier. So that gives you the feel of the handbrake and how tight you want it. You do not want it too tight, but both the rear calipers are balanced. So that means you can tighten up that and not be worried about a binding rear caliper. So let's go back in the car and do that. So in some of my short form videos, you would have seen me adjust this. Before you do the rear balancing of the calipers, you want to remove this cover on the handbrake. You want to gain access to this adjuster here. You want to loosen it off all the way, but still leave some engagement on the threads. You don't want to go too far because you will end up pulling this nut off of the threads of the first initial handbrake cable. So once you've set the balance on the rear calipers, you just want to adjust this, tighten it up, and just set it to how you want it. On fresh pads, you want to bed in the pads. You will probably have to adjust this after a few hundred miles. So you want to be able to have some adjustment left on this before adjusting the rear calipers. So anyway, let's get that back together.
Can you sort that out a second?